Imagine hunting an enemy submarine that never makes a sound, leaves no trail, and vanishes the moment you think you've cornered it. That is the nightmare modern adversaries face when they come up against the United States Navy's underwater fleet. What began decades ago as a contest of stealth has evolved into something far more psychological. Today, American submarines don't just hide. They manipulate entire oceans, mislead opposing fleets, and reappear exactly where no one expects them. This is the story of how the US went from dominant to completely unreachable beneath the waves. The reinvention of silent warfare. During the height of the Cold War, American fast attack submarines developed a terrifying reputation. They shadowed Soviet ballistic missile submarines across entire oceans, sometimes for weeks, and where never detected Soviet commanders understood they were being hunted. They simply never knew when or from where. The uncertainty itself became a weapon. But the race for the quietest submarine reached its peak in the 1990s with the arrival of the Seawolf class built to counter advanced Soviet designs. Seawolf was a technological monster, capable of diving more than 1,600 feet, sprinting at over 35 knots underwater, and moving almost silently thanks to pump jet propulsion. It was so advanced and so costly, roughly $3 billion per boat, that only 3 were ever constructed. Still, the lesson was clear. Extreme stealth is expensive, but priceless when war comes. Virginia-class, the backbone of U.S. undersea dominance. After Seawolf, the U.S. Navy needed a more sustainable yet powerful platform. The result was the Virginia-class, a submarine designed to be quieter, more versatile, and more affordable. Each new block of Virginia subs introduced upgrades that kept the fleet ahead of every competitor. But the real revolution came with Virginia Block 5, thanks to an added payload section. Block V can now launch up to 65 Tomahawk cruise missiles from deep underwater. It doesn't need to surface, it doesn't need to warn anyone. A single submarine can flatten enemy infrastructure before the target even realizes it's been found. At the same time, America is deploying the Columbia class, its new generation of nuclear deterrent submarines. Larger than the Ohio class and powered by a reactor designed to last the submarine's entire service life. Columbia carries 16 Trident II D5 missiles with enough range to strike any point on Earth. When one submarine holds that level of destructive power, it must become almost impossible to detect, and the US has engineered exactly that. Submarines that outsmart the seas. The oceans today are more monitored than at any point in history. Commercial ship tracking databases, satellite imagery, and electronic surveillance systems have erased the secrecy that submarines once enjoyed. To stay ahead, the U.S. Navy is no longer designing subs merely to hide. They are being built to outthink their hunters. This vision becomes real with SSN-X, the Navy's next attack submarine. Although still under development and expected to cost more than $5.8 billion each, SSN-X is designed for an entirely new era. It will wield advanced electronic warfare tools, next-generation acoustic suppression, magnetic and thermal signature reduction, and artificial intelligence systems, capable of processing threats faster than any human crew. Instead of reacting to detection attempts, SSN-X will anticipate them. It won't just be silent, it will be unpredictable. Stealth that extends beyond sound. Traditional submarine stealth focused on reducing noise. Today, American submarines aim to erase every detectable trace of their existence. Pump jet propulsion minimizes cavitation. Machinery inside the submarine is mounted on vibration-absorbing frames. Sound-absorbing coatings on the hull make sonar returns nearly meaningless. But the next level of stealth has nothing to do with sound. Submarines now reduce thermal signatures to fool satellites, manipulate magnetic fields to escape detection by airborne sensors, and manage wake turbulence so surface ships cannot track them. The Columbia class uses electric drive propulsion to eliminate the noisy mechanical gears found on older submarines. Some systems even control heat rejection so efficiently that the submarine becomes almost invisible to infrared satellites. When you combine all of this, you get something even veteran. Submarine hunters dread a vessel that doesn't simply hide, it disappears. Exercises that prove the US is playing a different game. The U.S. Navy's dominance has been demonstrated repeatedly in war games. In the 2018 RIMPAC exercise, a single aging Los Angeles-class submarine reportedly managed to sink an entire simulated carrier strike group, including the carrier itself, without ever being located. In another multinational drill, a Swedish Gotland-class submarine slipped through American defenses and simulated attacks on a U.S. carrier several times. Instead of being embarrassed, the U.S. learned from it, studied the Gotland's strengths, and refined its own stealth doctrine. Since then, Virginia-class submarines have reportedly passed through entire exercises unnoticed, surfacing only after the drill ended to reveal their presence behind foreign warships. That level of stealth does more than win battles. It destroys confidence. The rise of autonomous undersea warfare. The future battlefield doesn't belong only to manned submarines. It belongs to unmanned systems controlled from the deep. The U.S. Navy is now equipping submarines with Blackwing drones that launch from torpedo tubes, unfold their wings, fly up to 30 miles and send intelligence back to the submarine without forcing it to break the surface. Razorback unmanned underwater vehicles perform mapping and surveillance missions for hours or days without crew involvement. Larger systems like the Yellow Moray are designed for multi-week autonomous operations. The investment behind this transformation is enormous. In the 2025 U.S. defense budget, more than $500 million is dedicated to undersea drones, with another $1.3 billion allocated to AI integration and sensor fusion systems. Each upgrade pushes the Navy closer to a world where human crews stay far away from dangerous areas, while unmanned systems gather intelligence, confuse enemy sensors, and strike targets if necessary. The digital nerve system of U.S. undersea power. What truly separates the U.S. from its rivals is not just better submarines or quieter engines, it's the way the entire military connects. JADC2, short for Joint All-Domain Command and Control, is the digital brain that binds satellites, aircraft, drones, ships, cyber systems, and submarines into one unified fighting organism. A detection made by a drone can be confirmed by a satellite and acted upon by a submarine minutes later without any delays. This fusion of data is why, during a 2021 anti-submarine exercise near Guam, USP-8, a Poseidon aircraft completed detection to engagement cycles about 40% faster than other participating nations. When every part of your network shares what it sees instantly, decisions no longer take minutes, they take seconds. That speed is lethal. Why rival navies still can't catch up? China has invested heavily in anti-submarine warfare ships, aircraft, and sonar nets, especially in the South China Sea. But Chinese units still operate with rigid platform-by-platform procedures and limited real-time data fusion. A RAND report from 2023 concluded that China's anti-submarine capabilities remain hindered by slow coordination and unreliable joint operations. Russia, meanwhile, possesses a few dangerous submarines like the Yasin M, but most of its anti-submarine aircraft are based on designs from the 1960s, and its sonar networks rarely extend far beyond coastal waters. Their new systems, like Poseidon underwater drones, make headlines, but they do not solve the basic problem. Russia still struggles to find American submarines. Other nations such as Germany, South Korea, and Australia are building impressive submarines, but none of them possess the combination of data fusion, underwater communication networks, autonomous systems, and integrated doctrine that the U.S. already fields. Psychological domination. The U.S. Navy's undersea force doesn't win because it fires first. It wins because no one else knows where it is. A rival fleet cannot plan for what it cannot detect. It cannot protect assets from an enemy that moves like a shadow. It cannot predict an opponent whose decisions arrive faster than its own sensors can react. That uncertainty becomes its own form of warfare. It drains confidence from commanders, complicates planning, and forces nations to assume the U.S. submarine threat is everywhere at once. That is the true power of America's invisible Navy. The ability to change behavior, shape decisions, and influence entire regions without firing a single torpedo. In an era where information decides battles before weapons do, the quietest fleet has become the most dangerous one. If this deep dive into America's invisible navy left you stunned, there's a lot more where that came from. The oceans are full of secrets, and we're just getting started uncovering them. So, if you enjoy exploring hidden technologies, billion-dollar military chess moves, and the stories rival nations don't want you to hear, make sure you hit that like, and don't forget to subscribe. Stay curious, stay alert, and as always, stay submerged.